Have you ever walked out to your car on a brutal cold morning, grabbed the door handle, pulled with everything you had, and heard that sickening tearing sound as the frozen rubber seal rips clean off the frame and dangles there like a dead snake? Or maybe you have been driving down the highway at 70, and there is that maddening whistling roar pouring in around the door, a wind howl so loud you have to crank the radio just to hear yourself think. Maybe it is worse than that. Maybe every time it rains, you find a cold puddle soaking into your floor mat, that musty, wet carpet smell that never fully goes away, mold creeping into the padding underneath while you have no idea where the water is even coming in. You have run your fingers along those door seals and felt it, the rubber gone hard and chalky and cracked, crusted white, stiff as old leather, when it used to be soft and supple and quiet. And here is the part that makes your blood boil. You walked into the parts store ready to fix it, and they pointed you at a $15 bottle of so-called rubber conditioner with a fancy applicator sponge, promising to restore and protect, and you bought it, and you rubbed it on, and for about 2 weeks it looked shiny and felt soft, and then it was right back to cracking, except now somehow worse, the rubber actually starting to swell and turn gummy at the edges. So you bought another bottle, and another, and you are sitting there wondering why the one product literally sold to save your weather seals is quietly destroying them faster than time ever could. The answer is going to make you furious because they know exactly what they are doing. Here is the secret the seal and trim industry does not want anywhere near your hands. The thing that genuinely restores cracked, dried, frozen door rubber and keeps it soft and silent and waterproof for months is not in a $15 bottle with a race car on the label. It is a $3 tube of pure silicone sitting in the plumbing or electrical aisle of any hardware store, sold as dielectric silicone grease or pure silicone spray, 100% polydimethylsiloxane with nothing else added. Wipe a thin film of that onto your weather stripping, and within minutes, the rubber drinks it in, goes soft and flexible again, the cracks seal up, the door stops freezing shut, the wind howl vanishes, and the water stays outside where it belongs. It does not wash off in the first rain. It does not flash away in a week. It bonds to the rubber and stays, and it does the one thing the expensive bottle was specifically formulated to never do, which is actually last. Now, before I show you exactly how to apply it, you need to understand who is robbing you, because this is not an accident. The trim and detailing chemical giants have built an entire empire on selling you products engineered to fail on a schedule. They do not want a door seal that stays good for a year. A door seal that stays good for a year means you buy one bottle and never come back. So, they formulate these conditioners to look incredible for 10 days and then quit, forcing you back onto the shelf, $15 at a time, 4 times a year, for a car you already paid for. They are not in the business of fixing your rubber. They are in the business of renting you a temporary shine while the real damage keeps compounding underneath. If you are tired of being treated like a subscription instead of a customer, hit that subscribe button right now and join the Edge Defense crew. Because down here in the garage, underground, we blend our own protection from the hardware aisle, and we do not pay the corporate trim tax ever again. Subscribe, and stay, because what comes next is the exact chemistry they pray you never learn. Let me break down the forbidden science of why silicone wins and why their bottle is a slow poison. Your weather seals are made from a rubber called EPDM, ethylene propylene diene monomer, and it is chosen for one reason: it loves the cold and hates water. But EPDM survives on the flexibility built into its long polymer chains. And over the years, ultraviolet light and ozone and heat slowly break those chains and leach out the plasticizers that keep it soft, and that is when it goes hard and chalky and starts to crack. Now here is the trick. Pure silicone, polydimethylsiloxane, is a completely inert synthetic polymer with a backbone of silicon and oxygen, and it is wildly hydrophobic, meaning it physically repels water at the molecular level. When you lay a thin film of it across that tired EPDM, the silicone penetrates the surface, restores the slip and flexibility the rubber lost, and forms a water-shedding barrier that stays put across an enormous temperature range, soft and pliable, far below freezing and stable in summer heat. It does not react with the rubber, it does not attack it, it just protects it and keeps it moving. Now look at what is actually inside that $15 conditioner and try not to throw it across the room. The cheap ones are built on petroleum distillates and solvents, mineral spirits dressed up with a gloss agent. Petroleum solvents do exactly one thing to EPDM rubber: they swell it. The solvent soaks into the polymer, makes it look plump and dark and freshly conditioned for a couple of weeks, and while it sits there, it is leaching out the very plasticizers that keep the rubber alive, and as it evaporates, the rubber shrinks back down harder and more brittle than before. That gummy swollen edge you felt after a few applications, that is not conditioning. That is the early stage of the solvent dissolving your seal from the inside. You are not feeding the rubber. You are slowly digesting it and paying $15 a bottle for the privilege. Their product needs your rubber to keep failing. Silicone needs nothing. That is the entire difference. And that is why they will never sell you the pure stuff straight. So here is exactly how you do it the right way. And there is one warning in here you absolutely cannot skip, so stay with me all the way through. First, open the door and take a clean microfiber towel, slightly damp, and wipe down the entire length of the weather seal to pull off the old chalk, grime, and whatever residue that old conditioner left behind, then let it dry for a few minutes. Second, if you are using a silicone spray, spray it onto an applicator cloth, never directly onto the seal. And if you are using dielectric silicone grease, put a small dab on the cloth and work it in. Third, run that cloth along the full length of the rubber in one smooth pass, top, sides, and the bottom of the door frame, getting a thin, even film into every section, and pay special attention to the corners where freezing always starts. Fourth, do the matching seal on the body side of the opening too, because both halves touch when the door shuts. Fifth, wipe off any excess with a clean, dry corner of the towel so there is a thin protective film left behind and nothing dripping. Sixth, work your way around all four doors, the trunk seal and the hood seal, because every one of them is drying out at the same rate. Now the critical warning, and this is the one that protects your safety and your car, so do not breeze past it. You must keep that silicone off of any glass and off of any painted surface you plan to polish or wax. And more importantly, you must never let silicone get onto your brake pedal, the pedal pads, or the driver floor area. Not a drop, not a smear. Silicone is engineered to be slippery at the molecular level, and it does not wipe away with a quick swipe. It spreads into an invisible film, and a silicone film on the sole of your shoe or on a pedal pad means the instant you need to stamp the brakes hard, your foot can skate right off the pedal in an emergency, and that is how a 5-minute detailing job turns into a crash. Apply it only to the rubber seals, wipe your hands clean before you ever get back in the car, and keep the can and the cloth far away from the pedals and the cabin floor the entire time. Respect that, and this is one of the safest jobs in the garage. So let us put the whole thing side by side and let it sink in. On one side, you have the $15 petroleum conditioner that looks good for 10 days, swells your rubber, leaches out the plasticizers, leaves it harder than when you started, and demands you come back and buy it 4 times a year forever while your seals quietly die. On the other side, you have a $3 tube of pure silicone from the hardware aisle that softens the rubber for real, stops the door from freezing shut, kills the highway wind howl, repels the rain that was rotting your carpet, and lasts for months on a single thin application. One of them is designed to keep you broke and your rubber dying. The other one just fixes it and walks away. You already know which side of this the industry wants you on, so do this. Take 5 minutes this weekend, hit your seals, slam the door, and listen to that silence. Then send this video to every single person you know who is dealing with a door that freezes shut, a window that whistles on the freeway, or a wet floor mat they cannot explain, because they have all been handed the same $15 lie, and every one of them deserves to join the Edge defense and take their weather seals back for the price of a car.